Okay, and so I'm just working in Chrome. There's no installation required. You just sign into Flora and Fauna, and here you go. So this is the full workflow. Now this can look quite daunting, but you just start very little, and you start with just one item, and then you can work your way up. So this is the base sculpture. So this is what I started with. So it's essentially a sketch. I actually produced this in Creo using their styles tool, and I think this was using Flux 1. I made this about over a year ago, just playing with different forms, and I really like its intricacies, the difference of materials, and sort of smooth outer armor, and like nice sort of metallic innards with nice highlighting of the brass. But this is okay. We can do better than this. So what I started off doing, this was kind of like the basic kind of workflow of trying to actually use this as a reference, and then feed in this prompt. And so I'll talk about what all of these different nodes are doing, because we've got a mixture of text and images here. But essentially what that's doing is taking this, adding this prompt, and making an image. So this was one of the other images that I didn't use, and then from that essentially using a video tool. So this is using Kling 2.6, and you can just hover over and you can see then the output of this one. So I'll just hover over that so you can see. And it's good to note here that this is just a node, it's just a window, and underneath you can see we've got a selection of all the different generations. So you can still have your workflow, but embedded within each node you might have previous versions that you want to have a look at. And so you can see here that this, where is it? Let me find, yeah, I'm not going to find the corresponding one. Here we go. So this is the static image that was produced. I used Nano Banana Pro for that, and we'll get into all the models I used specifically before. And so if I put both of those in shot, you can see the start frame, and then just asking it to produce a video. So now this is great. However, the back, every time you generate, it's generating with a different seed, and that basically means that the back will always be reinterpreted every single time, which isn't what we want. We want full consistency of the form, and so that's something I've been working hard to try and get to, and with the tools that we have available to us, we can, and it's just about the specific workflow and stringing these tools together to get the kind of results that you guys want. So yeah, some really nice images, some really nice results. This has actually been upscaled, so I can zoom right in and get a nice view on all of those juicy details. So yeah, this was what I was starting with, and then you can just produce kind of like a video at the end of it. So this was just kind of a futuristic office scene, which complete accident, didn't really want that. But yeah, this was just one example of that there, and I realized I kept getting inconsistencies, I kept getting different results that I didn't want, and you can't really string together a narrative with all of these inconsistencies. It's just not gonna flow nicely together. So yeah, some really nice ideas, some really nice options. So let's go from the start then here. We're gonna build this from scratch anyway, so that you guys can follow along and do that yourselves. But essentially, what this is here is, this is just some text. This is ChatGPT 5.2 in these two boxes. You can see by the top right hand side there. And then what we're doing is I'm taking both bits of text, and I'm basically running this ChatGPT 5.2 node to say, combine the prompt structure, which is here, and the topic into, and basically fill in all of these different parts. So what's the goal? What's the camera? What's the composition, the framing, the subject, the interaction? So you're asking these LLMs to build you the prompts, which can be super powerful. And there's lots of different options underneath there as well. And so you can rerun this just by hitting the arrow here, the run button, and that'll produce another set of prompts. You can go in and then fine tune the results as well. And then these are hooked in to here. So this was the main one I was using, which is Nano Banana Pro. So it's essentially taking an image. As you can see, it's kind of, there's a wire here. This wire here is going to this image, which we'll get to that bit in a minute, but it's taking an image to produce the prompt, and then here it's also taking that same image. Nano Banana Pro takes the image and the prompt from here, and then also a character sheet, which we'll get to in just a sec, and that then produces the standard, just the static image, and that's fine, that's great, but that's just the first step, and this was just me experimenting with the sandbox. And then I decided to copy some of these parts, and I'm like, okay, we need to now do a slightly different approach here. So what I wanted was to really elaborate on the materiality. Yeah, this is just a sketch. It's very basic blocking out principles, and yeah, we can do a lot more than this. So I was really inspired by this Chinese sword that I saw in the news, and I just love the details, the engravings, the color scheme. And so I just took this image, the photographs, and just said, right, combine this sculpture in image 1 with the materials and detailing from image 2. And this was the result. This was what got picked and came through here. But I'll show you all the different examples that came through from this. So, yeah, no, this was, yeah, here we go. So this was the first one, which is really interesting, looking at what we've got here. So, yeah, let's have a look at the rest of them. And so this has kind of got a nice engraved jade outer edge. So some of these are gorgeous, and I would absolutely rerun it again. More engraved, more sort of oxidized brass. And some more options there, a bit more glass. More ornate, definitely sort of opal with like gold sort of laced on top, which is really nice, and gold insides. So we're getting some really, really nice results here, and Nano Banana Pro is doing all the heavy lifting. And so what it's taking the lines of the form, and it's arraying all of these gorgeous little gems around. So yeah, getting some really, really nice results. And I probably should have picked something like this to continue with, because the patina and everything's gorgeous on this. So yeah, those are options. That's what we've got. That's what we got from this basically material kind of exploration. And then from that, that's just an image with Nano Banana Pro. So along the top here, you can pick your different models. There's tons to pick from. So you can just test different things. Some of them are better for if you're using people. Some are better for products. You can pick your aspect ratio. You can pick styles. So later on in the stream, we're going to be looking at training different styles that you can use, but they've obviously got some presets in here as well, which is cool. You can enhance your prompt, out painting, which is basically making the frame bigger and filling in the gaps. In painting, so you can basically come in with a paintbrush and select certain areas and get one of the tools to fill in the blanks based on your prompt. So you can select certain areas and say, no, make these edges more rounded or less pointy or whatever. You can crop, split into layers, download, quick edit, replace the image, go full screen, and yeah, and then save it. So what I like to do after this is pick some of my favorites, which I have here, and upscale them. So no, that didn't go too well. So that was yeah, this one's quite nice. So let's have a look at the difference. So if I zoom in on this, it's okay, it's good enough quality, but if I zoom in on this one, you can see how it's increased the resolution of the image and then filled in the pixels as it's scaled it up. So upscaling, and that's what it's done. It's quite nice. Some really nice layers in here, makes it much more tactile, and some sort of like jade fins. So really, really nice. And then the next step, which will allow us to get consistent video later, is what's called character sheet. Typically for characters, if you've got a person in your scenes, and I've been using them to create character sheets for this. So if I pick the process here, so we have the low res version, we have the high res version, and then using Nano Banana Pro again. So I use Topaz to do the upscaling, and then pump this into Nano Banana Pro, and I said I want to create a studio lighting clean character sheet. showing full front, back, left and right views of the single sculpture, solid grey background. You can see here that that's pulled that in, and there we go. We have the design from the front, and then what it does is it hallucinates the back, or it interprets the back. I think hallucinates probably just too much of a loose undefined response. So this is really quite nice. It's been inspired by the front and the sides, and that's what it looks like from the sides. And so this gives us a really nice idea of what this sculpture looks like from all angles, which is super powerful for what we need later. And long story short, putting this as a reference in Kling 01 or 01 is that's the cheat code, being able to put in the character sheet into that particular video model as a reference. That then gives us the consistency. And so yeah, that's really nice. You can just pump this in, but you're gonna need a bit more inspiration, because you can pump this in and then prompt the background, but you're not going to get that control of what that background looks like every time you rerun it. Rerun the seed, it's going to look different. So this was the one that I actually focused on. What I did is so instead of taking this out, I didn't want the wooden stand at the bottom. So we don't need to download it, open up Photoshop and remove it. We can just do it all here in Flora, which is great. So I create another node, so you can right click and you can just go new block, and you can pick which one you want, or you can just come to here and say, right, I want a new image node, and we'll do all this part later, but you can then pick, right, I want this to be Google Nano Banana Pro. Yeah, and then you just go boop like that, and then I'll change the aspect ratio, and yeah, and all I did was say specifically remove wooden base. Nice and easy, and it removed the wooden base from all 4 of those specific images. And this is a 9:16, so this is a nice Reels size image. So yeah, an upscaled image was then fed to create the character sheet, and then the character sheet, I was editing it here specifically with Nano Banana Pro, and then I upscaled that again. So you can see here, not so great details, a little bit blurry, and then you come over to here and we get a nice crisp, clean version. And so this is really nice. This is the time to go in and start to in-paint a bit more and refine some of the details, and really get these things right. Because yeah, you can see if you go really laser focused detail, some little bits are not quite there, but yeah, it's a really good point, really good start. And so you can do that here, or this branch up here I decided to peel off and start to use the crop tool. So you can take this image and then you can use the crop tool and then start to actually highlight different areas like so, and then click off, and there you go, you've got that particular quarter there. And then you can then upscale that and then keep going and piece bits together if you want to. So you can really dive into the details and really get as much quality as you need from there. So that's kind of turning the basic sketch render, if you like, a sort of conceptual form, and actually adding more materials, making it more grounded, a lot more realistic. And this really helps with the process. So that's how we do the character sheets. And now the next part is to produce what is called a, what is this again? One second, I want to get the terms spot on. So cinematic contact sheet. That took longer than I needed. Essentially, this is what this is called. So it's a 3x3 grid, 9 images, a cinematic contact sheet. Yeah, there we go. So this is exactly what I want to start to tell my story. And so I saw this and I thought, oh, there must be some way of being able to, how would this be assembled? Like, what is it? Not sure. Where does it come from? We don't know. Who's making it? All of these questions are still unanswered and still relevant and still there. And so actually being able to come in and start to play around with this, this is what I wanted. So I put the character sheet in. This is using Gemini 3 Pro by Google, and this is I put in the prompt here of what I wanted. This is exactly what I asked for, and then this is the result. It's because it's faded. This is difficult to read, but I basically wanted to generate the 3x3 grid of 9 panels into a single 4K masterpiece illustrating a cinematic sci-fi shoot featuring the manufacturing of this sculpture. 9 unique angles, different stages of manufacture. And so this then creates a prompt for each of those. So panel 1, top left, panel 2, panel 3, 4, all the way down to 9. So yeah, you're using the LLMs to expand upon what it is you want. Because if I just put this in, I wouldn't have got the same kind of result. And so, and adding in the character sheet means that we get more context. The more context you give these tools, the better, because you'll be able to, you know, saying teal skeleton, which comes in handy later. So by it knowing what the sculpture looks like, it's actually personalizing the context sheet. Here are some other examples. I didn't do this in 9:16, which then messed up the aspect ratio all the way down the line. But you can see there's some really nice ideas here. Super close up, like macro close up of one of the gemstones. A nice sort of top-down view that could be actually quite nice to crane the camera down. Definitely something I want to explore later. Some eerie sci-fi green fog backlit. Some nice other options of how it's being manufactured. And then you can see here we've got a completely different back than what we wanted. So that's because this wasn't fed the character sheet. But yeah, this was just early tests of the context sheet and what's there. One of those is scaled up, I think. Yeah. Oh, this is just another option because there's a different back. So lasers involved in this one. Yeah, some really nice things happening here. So this was what I settled on. This is the low res version. This is what again, Nano Banana Pro takes the Gemini 3 prompt here and the character sheet, and this is what we get. So some absolutely gorgeous shots from here. I saw this and I'm like, yep, done. you've one shot that perfectly. So I took that and then you upscale it. So I've shuffled things around, but basically you upscale this and then I just downloaded the image and then brought it back in. And so, oh no, this was the upscaled one. So this is the upscaled one, and then this step here. So generated image, upscaled, and then just as before, doing the cropping mechanism here to be able to pick whichever one you want. Upscale the cropped part, which is really useful to be able to, yeah, get the more detail that you need out of what we've got. And then from there, yeah, now I did 2 versions of this. So as one video was running, I was doing more upscaling. So yeah, you've got the upscaled versions, and yeah, so there's lots of these 4 nodes here. These are the video nodes. Okay, as you can see, when you select them, they all play and animate nicely, which is really, really nice. So I'm doing several things here. So these 3 down here are just doing a case of start frame and then producing a video based on whatever my prompt is. So this is subtle cinematic camera movement, dolly in, which is a camera movement, and then lasers dance across the surface, smoke rising. Okay. So I'm calling out things that are specifically in this frame for Kling to understand and to animate. So I was using Kling 2.6 here, and today we'll give Kling 3.0 a go today because that's recently been released. And so yeah, so this is giving me nice movements and some really happy accidents. In this particular shot, we've actually got some subtle warping, which in most cases would be quite undesirable. Like if a character or a product is warping in the wrong way. But for this and then this narrative, it looks like the piece that is freshly created is either breathing or just adjusting itself to be, you know, seated and fit as part of the final part of the assembly process. So really, really nice. So we decided to keep that. Lots of different options for this guy. This one, I love the kind of flowing magma going upwards in this one. Yeah, some of these shots are just really, really nice. Just gorgeous. So I wanted to focus on like different laser sintering, which is a manufacturing technique where you take powder and you shoot a laser and it'll synthesize it or melt it together and sinter it so that it becomes a solid object. So that was one method I wanted to play around with, and this kind of shot really plays with that as well. So this, I didn't use this specific shot, but these two are just animating the still frame of the actual sheet, of the cinematic contact sheet. But this one here, this was me playing with start and end frames. So what I did was I was starting, let's go back a few frames. I was starting with this frame here. No, let's do it from here. Show you what it's actually doing. So what I was doing is I was taking this frame and this frame. That's the start and that's the end. So transition between A and B, and that's what this video is doing. So because of the camera angles, all it does is it knows that that gem there is the same gem that we're zooming in on. And because we used that consistent character sheet to make the contact sheet, these things line up and there's not too much warping. It is just a camera movement, and then we've got these nice effects happening around. So consistent form, lovely dynamic flowing smoke that we have here, and then everything else happening in the background. So because the backgrounds are different, the machines are different, these things start to move in a very undesirable way. So that's why this wasn't used, but otherwise it's actually really quite a nice shot, and could be used and could have been a part of a transition. Now what they've put in here is, I think it was this one I used. Yeah, almost a static camera. So what you can do now, you can extract last frame. So that was what I was missing when I was doing this. Newly added feature, extract the last frame, basically means that it'll just spit out an image from the very last frame. Then you can do this start frame and end frame very nicely. So now I can have this video playing and then string it straight into this one, because I have this frame now, whereas before I didn't. So yeah, because you can see the subtle differences here. The smoke's different. There's a drop shadow. This is slowly rising out of the smoke. So now using start and end frame, you can blend between these two. So just like we had here, basically, yeah, this is the start frame, this was the end frame, and we fed it through to there. That's how we got that video there, and that was using Kling 2.5 Turbo, just because we needed the start and end frame there. Okay, and so as I mentioned earlier about the consistency, so taking this character sheet here, and then feeding it into Kling 01 has given us the ability to be able to produce this. So you'll notice this is backwards, so I reversed it in post. But this is taking, you don't necessarily need the contact sheet in here, but you definitely need the character sheet in here as a reference. And this was just, I wanted a 360 camera orbit. And Kling 01 references is specifically the one that you need. So you go to here, go to video, and then go to Kling. Okay, so 3.0 references. This is going to be what you use now, but what I used was specifically the references version. So 01 references Okay, so that keeps subjects consistent across scenes, which is exactly what we want. And so this gave us the shot. This is the nice kind of reveal finale of the full piece coming together, because from here you've only been shown from this nice series of shots. You've only been seen like a wireframe blueprint, you've seen the back, you've seen some details on the front, you've seen this little preview, but you've not seen it all come together. So yeah, I love this shot here. So yeah, so that is a look at the workflow that I use in Flora to do that nice little cinematic assembly piece. And how I would improve upon this and take this further is I'd have a lot more control here. I do multiple contact sheets where the character, I maybe do a different character sheet where half of it is complete or a quarter of it is complete, and then build that up. So you then can splice multiple character sheets together. So you can have a character sheet which is the assembly process for a quarter of it or a third, and then the 2/3 version, and then the fully complete one. And then you can pick and choose whichever shots you want from that contact sheet. So yeah, some really nice tools in here to be able to get this. And this is a combination of different live streams that I've seen me playing around, and a lot of testing to be able to put all this together. But yeah, we're getting some really nice things. And if you wanted, you can come in and use one of these images as a reference and feed that into here as well, so that when you're producing the context sheet, sorry, into here, you can use a reference image as well as the character sheet to be able to yeah, get more settings, more scenarios, more backgrounds. Because if you want each of these shots to have like this kind of background or this kind of environment or lighting, that's what you need there. And another tip that I didn't show here, but what I did in Krea previously, let me just pull up one of these. So what you can do with the character sheets is you can actually relight those. And by relighting, I mean using Nano Banana as a tool to say, right, okay, here's an example from a previous build. So here's a sculpture, and what I want to do, this is nice, this is what I want for all the materials. What you can do is you can ask Nano Banana to take this and relight it. So take this the exact form, but put it in a nice hall, for example, and that's what this is done here. So the reflections will be different, and the materials will behave as if that sculpture is in that environment. And that is one really nice way to be able to then customize again further these contact sheets and get the kind of shots that you want, and get consistent lighting across your shots. What I liked about this is that it's different processes, different times, so different lighting was fine for me. But you can really, you know, you can take these cropped, upscaled ones, relight those before putting them into the video model side of things. So you can essentially take these and put them all the way over there as part of the workflow and continue refining here. There's just so much you can do here. There's lots and lots and lots. Okay, so that was a really nice overview. If anyone's got any questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat or drop a comment on this video if you're watching afterwards.